We are live. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Can't complain. Doing well.
It's always good to hear. Brana and the blinking DKG for those of you who are watching this on YouTube. Hi, Brana.
Yeah, it's there. I don't know what to do about it. I guess I can just bring it
The
closer.
AI
Hello,
for that
everybody.
one is some work, right?
Yeah,
Very good. Represent.
feeling like future of AI, like getting some hallucinations, but I guess some decentralization can fix that.
True. It's lingering through. Very good. All right. I guess we're live all across, right? So we don't have to check. We're live on Twitter as well. Also, we didn't have the music intro, so in case someone is inspired to sing, that would be a good moment because there's no more opportunities after.
Don't think anyone wants that.
No? All right, very good. Well, welcome again for those of you who managed to jump in these first 2 minutes. We are going to be speaking about the decentralized AI today. And with OriginTrail and Polkadot, we'll be covering some Polkadot updates as well. So yeah, warmly welcome to this discussion. So you'll have few people here on the call today. Next to myself, Tomasz, there's Branimir, Nikola, and Yuri. And yeah, we'll be covering these topics over the course of the next, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll see how it runs. If you have any burning questions, feel free to drop them in, and we'll try to get to those. But yeah, maybe I'll since I started talking, I'll just kick off with the first question, and I'll punch it over to Branimir. Since the topic is the decentralized AI and with OriginTrail and Polkadot, what's your definition of decentralized AI? How do you see it, and what do you feel is the key things we should be looking at, and why should we care? Why is this important for us?
I love how you start with these super easy questions. Like this is like
I'm easing you in. Just
just like slowly
the answer
getting to the hard ones.
Yeah,
it's wow. So it's an interesting topic, really. Like a lot of people try to look at this, the areas of AI obviously booming and decentralization, which is well for us present in this industry for a while, kind of like second nature. And I think there's quite a lot of different ideas of how these things can work together, or what one can bring to the other, and therefore different like views on what decentralized AI could mean. But in the way we observe it at OriginTrail, and the way the vision we have for AI is really a vision of convergence of actually three stacks or three technologies together. So crypto, AI, and essentially the internet stack. And this idea, in a way, is articulated through a concept called the verifiable internet for AI, which we recently also published a pre-publication paper for, which describes this in very fine detail. But essentially, it combines these concepts in a very interesting way, where it enables essentially what crypto is best for, which is providing both a layer of decentralization and essentially collaboration, dispersed control, and essentially stake in the system, with the notion of what actually brings value to AI, which is obviously knowledge. And knowledge in that sense, meaning pretty much we all know that LLMs are the new rage in AI. So they all basically learn through like vast amounts of data, and this data in a way is what they consume. Therefore, they are able to produce something of value as a response. So it's a very natural meet between these two technologies, where we can tokenize value in Web3 pretty well, and where we can essentially create value through knowledge with AI. So the merger of these two technologies is really a notion that we try to introduce every time we speak about this topic, which is that knowledge is actually a new asset class, and that it's been so for a while. That actually we have, even prior to LLMs, we had technologies that captured knowledge really well. One of these technologies, the key one, is called knowledge graphs, and it's been applied across the industry quite a lot. When I say industry, I mean Web 2. Like the Web 2 giants, pretty much all of them have knowledge graphs, and they are a certain form of AI that's been around for longer actually than LLMs, and it's been giving value to these, creating enormous value actually to companies like Netflix, Google, Amazon, Uber, NASA, IKEA. All of them use knowledge graphs under their hood. Spotify uses knowledge graphs when it recommends music to you, and essentially like amassing all of this data on us, but connecting it in a certain way where it creates a network of data. And therefore, this network of data is a higher order of hierarchy in the context of how we can observe knowledge. So moving from data to knowledge means actually having contextualized data connected with other data. So with these knowledge graphs, the world actually had a lot of AI helping these big Web2 companies in a centralized way generate value from the data, such as user data, us listening to music or watching movies or ordering things on Amazon. And a very simple example is, recommending you something. For example, recommending you to buy something similar to, or like what similar people bought to you based on your buying preferences, or similar products, or, and all of these similarity property queries on a knowledge graph. So essentially, this has been happening in Web 2 for a very long time. Our vision of decentralized AI, therefore, captures this notion of knowledge being a new asset class in a decentralized way, so that you can actually own your knowledge and that you can actually appropriate value from it, versus Facebook doing it in their knowledge graph. And so this would be the vision in which we have both technologies, both the layers, rather one symbiotic technology of having AI, both the symbolic, the older technology, and the new emerging neural ones, together with crypto, enabling us to be in control of the knowledge, and not just in control, but actually also having the benefits that come from amassing all of this stuff together in an open, public way, rather than closed, centralized, knowledge bases that are popping up all over the web for many decades now, actually. So in a way, that is part of this vision of the verifiable internet, is what OriginTrail focuses on, and we'll be talking about this more today, obviously. And having that said, actually, I'm gonna.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask you on the convergence between the AI and the internet and the Web3, and I mean crypto. Who needs whom more? So does the AI need the Web3 or crypto more, or does crypto needs AI more?
Okay, it's another easy question, right? You're just like killing it today. I think it's interesting. I think AI has given crypto kind of it's a match made in heaven in that sense, but it's even given it much more rationale to be employed in like there's been real world applications quite a bit, but now it's becoming very much apparent that it can bring a lot to AI. So especially now, like there's a lot of examples, and we can just take a look at the problems of AI and match where crypto can help. So obviously, like the thing everybody knows about is hallucinations, right? It's you ask something to an AI model like ChatGPT, to a chatbot or whatever, and it gives you an answer. But we kind of by now learned that it gives you a kind of a very probable, but not necessarily 100% correct answer. And when it's not correct, that's called a hallucination. Turns out this is actually a feature. That's how they work. That's why LLMs can be very creative. That's why when you ask it to create a song for you in Shakespearean style, it will do it because it can be creative and it kind of like statistically can guess. But sometimes you ask it to like do 2 plus 3 and it can go wrong. So it's a common problem. Like I'm preaching to the choir here, and I think one of the cool applications where crypto can help is actually tackling these hallucinations via applying more let's say verifiability and structure, and we can go deeper into that also on this podcast. So that's one of the problems where obviously we would like to limit this. And another set of big problems there that's very much attached to it is like, so these responses that you get from an LLM, they come from like some abstract knowledge base that this LLM has learned within its weights. But who is actually the actual owner of all of this that came into the LLM? Be that like a visual art that something like Sora might have used to train. Was it allowed to do so? If you're an artist, is that okay? But just in general, using like vast amounts of data on the web without any sort of appropriation of that value to whoever is the owner or creator of that. So that's another problem. How do we solve ownership? And that's something that we in crypto have actually been creating primitives for many years now. Primitives such as NFTs, similar different basically applications of crypto that let us apply ownership. And so this is another one where like crypto can very much help AI. And then the third one is really bias. So when we have, like, everybody's biased, I'm biased, but and therefore these LLMs are biased, and like I'm sure people have seen all these crazy examples that have been popping around the last couple of months. And it's not an easy problem to solve. We cannot just say, oh, we'll solve bias with NFTs. But if we are able to use crypto in a good way to, for example, verify sources of information, which were fed to the AI or which were used to produce an answer from a chatbot, then you can actually tackle bias. You can pick the sources, you can filter them out, you can, and if you apply clever algorithms, such as things that knowledge graphs can do, you can actually do quite a bit. You can have your own, let's say, information reputation algorithm that you own, and you say how it's going to leverage both not just the sources and filter you're in or out, but rather actually filter by connections, just as we do in the real world. You kind of trust a friend of your friend a little more than a random person. Well, you can do that through essentially the decentralized knowledge graph and other technologies, but crypto enables this key primitive of decentralized identity and ownership of that identity as well. So having that said, we can tackle bias quite a bit, and this is just one of examples. It's not the only tool to tackle bias. And then finally, when it comes to bias, a similar problem pops up there, which is something that actually is an inherent problem. It seems to be so there's different opinions in this, and I'm by no means claiming that this is like I have the exact precise data, but like there's a lot of research showing that LLMs are starting to plateau in terms of growth, and the reason for that being the actual data that it's being that it's using for training. And the reason why is that basically LLMs are producing so much content now, and very soon they will be producing more content than humans or non-LLM systems, that once LLMs train on their outputs, on the data that they generated, they actually start to deteriorate. So you get like worse answers, more hallucinations, things like that. And there's no stopping it. The world is just going to keep generating. People are using ChatGPT to write emails, and that ends up in some LLM and blog posts and tweets and whatnot. So you can just like literally see that curve going exponential, and at very soon point in time, we will have some form of key point, which I think deserves a name. We should think of a name, but when actually there will be more data on the internet that was generated by AI than not generated by AI. So what do we do then? That's where ownership of data and the ability to find the right source of information will actually be even more critical. And that is where all of the public key infrastructure and decentralization aspects of the technology we've been building in come into play heavily, because it's going to be basically LLM generated data is super inflationary, while human generated data is not really that inflationary. We have limits on how much we can create as humans, and it's going to be even more valuable. So you're going to want to train your LLM in very near future on highly curated information that is not going to mess up your LLM, because you're going to invest a ton of money and energy and resources into training it. You better pick what you train it on, right? Which again comes down to having the ability to somehow filter it out according to the principles of verifiability, known sources, and similar concepts. So again, those 4 problems: hallucinations, which we need to tackle with providing them more context and proper data; ownership, obviously, both in terms of IP rights and just generally data ownership; bias and model collapse. These are things that are about to haunt AI heavily, and crypto is definitely one of the key technologies, if not the key technology, that can tackle this. So yeah, it's going to be a very exciting time, and I'm actually curious to hear what you think, because you're throwing these super easy questions my way. What's your opinion?
No, I think you've highlighted some key elements of what really crypto brings to AI, and from the perspective of just how the value add of artificial intelligence to the let's say just global GDP can be assessed. If we look at in isolation, just let's say just generative AI, and then the McKinseys or whoever they did the researches in, let's say, 4 or 6 trillions or something like that. If we pair it up with the value propositions that you just highlighted right now, this becomes a FUD number, a super lowballing effort, because just way more things are possible if you're able to pair the generative AI capabilities with something like a DKG. So a whole new spectrum of solutions are now all of a sudden kind of possible, because you have these primitives of data ownership, of the verifiability, of information provenance, which are just so dramatically powerful when you're creating anything that needs to be production ready. So to that point, I'm wholly there with you. I'd go on the flip side as well, saying that it's an equally large gain from the side of crypto having AI as a user. You were speaking about this flippening of content appearing on the internet, where you'd have more AI generated content than human generated content, which in effect means that there's also going to be more AI services, either agents or models directly using the internet or the internet primitives. And who are better users of kind of robust, to use the nice word, Web3 technologies, wallets and making transactions and then blockchains and understanding verifiability proofs, than kind of machines and then AI agents or models. They'll be the perfect users of these types of technologies, and they'll be able to make full potential. They'll be able to leverage the full potential out of them. So between where the biggest opportunity lies, it's obviously that in 1 + 1 = way more than 2 in this scenario, and to me, it feels that kind of both AI needs the primitives of crypto just as much as crypto needs AI kind of as users, and or just the potential that it brings is so incredibly huge. Yeah, I guess that's my 2.5 cents. All right, I think we've touched like some models now, and we were speaking about the decentralized knowledge graph, and kind of Brana was giving you an overview of these capabilities, which basically follow something that's called the decentralized retrieval augmented generation, or DRAG choreography. And I know that we've had some new models popping up recently, and yeah, like this, the powerful thing about the using the OriginTrail, and in this case also, which we'll touch upon later, Polkadot as well, is how you can pair it up with all the advancements that AI field is kind of bringing to the table. So it doesn't really, it's not something that is at a standstill, but rather everything that kind of gets developed in the AI space around the advancing of the models directly influences the quality of the solutions you can create with this decentralized RAG approach. So yeah, it's maybe thinking if Yura, you can give a little bit of your thoughts on how you feel the advancements of LLMs in particular, or maybe AI models and agents even more largely over the course of the last few months have been, and how do you feel those advancements can influence the DRAC, or like the verifiable internet for AI as a whole, and yeah, what's kind of looking exciting for the decentralized AI, not only from the perspective of having open and kind of ownable knowledge as the foundation, but also have that openness on the side of the AI models.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I think for when going back to the first question that you asked, Grana, around the decentralization, I think it's becoming very interesting now in the past months. That so most of what you would hear in the news and in the media is around large models being consuming nuclear level types of energy to train and become better and whatnot. But at the same time, there has been actually a lot of smaller models that have been becoming kind of significantly more optimized and being able to run on infrastructure that is not really costing an arm and a leg to do. And I think that's important. I think a couple of days ago we had Microsoft's open source Phi 3 model Phi 3 Mini come out, and it's like a 3.8 billion parameter model. I've seen people do crazy things with it in the first 2 days. Like, people have been running it on their phones, on their iPhones, right? And I think that really brings kind of a new level of decentralization to mind, because you'd have now in the future, what I can see happening is, right, you not only have this decentralized knowledge graph that feeds models that sit somewhere, on a central server, and with OpenAI or with other, let's say, closed models, or even open source models that are hosted by service providers somewhere. But actually, imagine having these models such as the Phi 3 Mini that become more and more, let's say, dense and optimized, that can run on lower and lower, let's say, compute power infrastructure, that you can actually have your model on your phone or in your computer, and your agents are powered by that model, and you can use, so you have a decentralized way of actually using LLMs or other AI models, accessing decentralized and verifiable internet and knowledge on the DKG. So it's like a decentralization for through the entire spectrum, or all of the layers that we're talking about here. And that really brings really cool and exciting opportunities. And now that I'm talking about it, new things pop to mind. Imagine you can then have a model that you run on your phone, right? And you have an agent that, or before even having an agent, you can fine tune that model on your phone based on using some verifiable data of a specific pairnet on the DKG or specific knowledge base that you only have. And then the decentralized RAG solutions become a lot more tuned to what you need, right? Because obviously the DRAG works with AI to extract the knowledge and then provide an answer or summarize the answer. But imagine that extraction can be fine-tuned not only to a specific use case, but to a specific individual based on what they need, based on how they want to access and interact with the knowledge. So there's a lot of very cool, and as I'm talking about these things now, new things pop to mind, because that also enables you to have complete privacy and verifiability, not only on the knowledge level, but also on the LLM level, because the LLM is sitting with you, potentially completely offline if you wanted to at a certain point in time. So really exciting moves there, already happening. And I think compared to the speed of acceleration in the previous years and how fast we're moving now, I think we'll see some really cool stuff in the, let's say, decentralization of AI, more specifically decentralization of LLMs coming up in the next months and years. So really, really excited to see that.
Perhaps that's a good segue into something I heard Gavin Wood mentioned the other day on some podcast, which is an important thing. I think usually when people say something like decentralization of AI models and things like that, people can think of like, oh, let's put a model on the blockchain and like, I don't know, let's train it via some decentralized system. And even though things are possible in the sense like it's inherently centralized technology in terms of an LLM. So it has to be like, it has to be trained in a certain place on a very strong machine, and consensus-based protocols such as blockchains, which actually create this limitation of certain blocks that you need to fit data in a kind of an unnatural match. So like it's you can see what Gavin said. Basically, I agree with him 100%. Having that said, like thinking of decentralized AI doesn't mean like we run a model on chain. Like there can be many models, or rather agents, AI agents, basically autonomous programs that can execute stuff that are decentralized in the sense of like all of us owning them. So I have a bunch of agents, you have a bunch of agents. You get a BMW, I get a BMW. But like a bunch of people running these services online autonomously, and then actually reaching consensus, them doing something together, using the blockchain to interact, these agents owning wallets and then being able to execute payments, but also these agents being able to somehow align, and that's where the decentralized aspect becomes very interesting for AI, because it's not about like having a decentralized model, it's about having a common pool of knowledge that you can align on. And that's where this new emerging pattern called RAG that was mentioned, retrieval augmented generation, is pretty much all the rage now. Everybody's going about it in terms of AI, which basically means, if I dumb it down completely, is you give an LLM your data, your files, and then you ask it to respond based on the knowledge there. So for example, that can be, I don't know, you give it a book and then you ask it like, tell me something from this book, and it's gonna like focus on that, basically only on that knowledge. And pretty much we've seen a lot of businesses do it, we've seen a lot of individuals, developers playing around with this, but this is basically the new paradigm, one of the key, let's say, ways to make AI even usable in production, but also usable in the right way, so it doesn't hallucinate as much, and it has this ability that you give it certain context. So that's RAG, retrieval augmented generation. What is DRAG, decentralized retrieval augmented generation, is essentially doing this in a decentralized way, but not on one repository centralized that somebody makes for themselves, rather on a set of connected repositories which share publicly a certain set of knowledge, and then also plug in this deep in way their private knowledge, something that is maybe not shareable in the public sense, or that maybe you want to actually leverage for monetary transactions, meaning in some data marketplace scenario or similar. And when I say data marketplace, I mean that super broadly. The musician selling their music online through an intermediary like, I don't know, Beatport or something is, this old school way of doing it, where you have this intermediary centrally like taking a big cut. Why wouldn't we do this like in a peer-to-peer fashion directly with musicians? This is a data marketplace scenario, the data being a, I don't know, MP3 file or music or video or whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that applying decentralized retrieval augmented generation in a decentralized context is the killer app really here for AI, because then you can run the model like Yuri, you said, locally or on your phone or somewhere, but you tap into all of this global knowledge and you really tap into the network effects. So you, instead of like have statistical guessing by LLMs, you retrieve knowledge that has some verifiability. The source. You can find cryptographic proofs that you can associate this knowledge to. You discover it across the world of all of the repositories that are connected in this verifiable internet, for each of which you have a decentralized identity, which they provisioned on their own. So it wasn't mediated by a big company like Google or somebody. And in that sense, this is what DRAG is all about. And actually, I posted below this, if you're listening on Twitter, you can see a tweet below this broadcast that contains the page that explains this in a lot of detail.
Yeah, and Bram, maybe one cool thing to add here, right, about when we're talking about the DRAG, it's and it's a great explanation. Yeah, somehow forgot to go into that a little bit, but I think it's really important to add also that the framework itself, right, can work with any LLM or even multiple LLMs in the same let's say AI service, right? So it gives users complete flexibility to use any type of let's say larger LLMs that are publicly accessible, that like the GPTs of the world, or running something as I mentioned before, something in a couple of months or years on your phone, and actually having completely fine-tuned to your personal retrieval needs and actually summarization. So it's a really open framework, and all of the LLMs can be plugged in and used. And that's, I think, the exciting part, because it has so much potential, right? There's no one LLM that is the best at everything, and it will never be the case, because you have different use cases. They're trained on different things, and I think, it's an important piece to add to the framework.
Awesome. Open and neutral, decentralized knowledge foundation and open approach to utilizing multiple AI models seems very powerful. Like, we've been giving decentralized AI a bit of a conceptual overview over the course of this discussion. So maybe we could kind of go towards the action a little bit closer. So in other news, this week has been super cool, because the Polkadot AI governance proposal on the Polkadot referenda passed successfully, which also kind of secured that the Polkadot will showcase the strength of decentralized AI for the Polkadot ecosystem, not only in the scope that is currently available in beta, but in a much larger and stronger and more powerful and beefed up way, with many cool things that are coming up. Maybe, Nicholas, I'll kind of nudge you on this topic. If you want to give us a bit of an overview when it comes to Polkadot, what do you see as things that have been done so far? What is this treasury proposal kind of bringing us, and the successful passing of it? What can we be excited for? And of course, for everyone, this is one very tangible example of how you can see the decentralized retrieval augmented generation in action with the decentralized infrastructure, which is alive and kicking very much so, and utilizing AI powered way to run it. So Nicola, you want to
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I would like to for the geeks that are listening and that are not familiar, but most of us here are big lovers of the Asimov Foundation's book series. And to use a parallel where we there, you have librarians who are collecting all the knowledge to preserve it for the future because of the fall of the empire. And now here we're actually trying to do similar thing. We are trying to crowdsource the knowledge, and we are focusing on the Polkadot ecosystem. And yeah, we are not trying to preserve it from the fall of the empire, but we are trying to preserve it from the rise of the AI and make it ready for the rise of the AI to be decentralized and to be on Polkadot. And just one of the use cases on this knowledge that will be created around the Polkadot ecosystem is Polkabot, which is, as we defined it in our theory proposal, a decentralized AI educational tool. But I would say it's much more powerful. It can go like from your friend for learning. Of course, you can discuss with it and help you learn about Polkadot ecosystem and all about those details, new interesting words and technical concepts. But it is also something that will actually onboard new people easier. New communities will be easily introduced by interaction, by going out to the and interact with the bots that will be all over the internet on Telegram, on Discord, and on Twitter. So yeah, going back, so Polkabot is one of the RAG implementations on the Polkadot knowledge assets, where Polkadot knowledge assets are created on the DKG, which stores the proofs for them on the neural web, which is the Polkadot parachain powering everything here. And the probably most powerful thing is that Polkabot is only one of a lot of future AI services that will be built here. So how we envision the Polkabot and the whole knowledge just around it, it will be a paranet in future of DKG, and anyone from the Polkadot community will be able to come here and start building different systems. So is it a recommendation-based system? We'll be training new models. We'll be doing different chatbots or some analysis of the data of the community, how like sentiment of the community, and of course there will be different analysis for the price predictions or similar things. And yeah, I would say that's like the main thing, that the future of this Polkabot, Polkabot right now is, I would say, in quite good shape in the beta version, but with the expansion of the knowledge base that it has, with more knowledge assets upcoming in the next period, it will be much more powerful. It will be able to answer all the relevant questions regarding Polkadot ecosystem, and after that, it will be just waiting for people to start building even more powerful things.
Awesome stuff. There you get it. So it's going to be Polkabot is picking it up in another gear, allowing you all, as Nicola was explaining, to get involved. So the Paranet is something. It's a concept on the decentralized knowledge graph, which is an assembly around a particular topic, and in this case, the Polkadot ecosystem knowledge, and will allow anyone to get engaged as a knowledge miner. So you will be able to add your knowledge, and actually there's also there's an incentive mechanism that's been previewed by the treasury proposal on its own, as well as the Paranet emissions, which can be dedicated towards that knowledge miners get those incentives for adding high quality relevant knowledge around Polkadot ecosystem to the Paranet on the DKG. And that meaning that we're going to have a ton of knowledge pouring in, making sure that all the latest and greatest around the Polkadot ecosystem is available on the DKG, and by extension, then also you will have a way to interact with all this powerful knowledge through Polkabot Polkadot interface, either through the Telegram, Discord, or website. So it's a very, I echo that sentiment, a very cool way to showcase how the decentralized AI approach can give you a very kind of like a little sneak peek with this Polkadot interface at the beginning. But what Nicola highlighted, yes, in the future as well, this is the foundation upon which many more AI services can erupt and create new services, either agent-based or model-based, or that can leverage the same knowledge foundation. So we don't have the decentralized AI only in concept, but very much so alive and very much so present on OriginTrail and then Polkadot. Brana, Jure, do you have any thoughts on Polkadot that you wanted to desperately share?
Yeah, perhaps. Go.
There you go. I asked two people, I get two answers. It's
fixed answers.
Around, you find out.
Maybe just a couple of sentences around. So this the knowledge base, right, around the Polkadot and Polkadot ecosystem, right, would also be one of the paranets on the OriginTrail DKG, meaning one of the, let's say, topical aggregation of knowledge assets around the particular ecosystem, in this case Polkadot, or a particular topic, and which is really cool because it becomes, like Nicola said, it becomes really a kind of a playground for AI services, a playground for knowledge assets that can be utilized to do all sorts of cool things, from basic chatbots to integrations such as we've kind of showed a little bit a couple of weeks ago with Chainlink, where you can get accurate or latest Oracle price predictions. So, or not predictions, but prices for the dot token. So all of these types of things make it really exciting, and the paranets are kind of the core concept on the original DKG that enables this. And the Polkadot AI will be based on the paranet that is based on the or built around the Polkadot ecosystem. That's the only thing I wanted to add. Ron, I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, I guess you kind of like said what I wanted to say, but I think the key thing that makes sense to like emphasize here is that we can build this together. So it's not about like, us collecting a bunch of knowledge on Polkadot and just like, it's we were the ones to curate it, including our own bias. Rather, the idea is that we are able to collectively do that as a community. And as always in Web3, we always look for a way to incentivize people to do it properly. So I'd really like to mention, and like to everybody who's interested in building some form of decentralized AI on Polkadot, to check out Polkadot, try it out, and to actually follow all of the coming updates that will be announced around Polkadot, so that you can actually engage and start knowledge mining together with us on Polkadot, so that we actually give it a lot of knowledge. So because of that, right now, if you try Polkadot, for example, it's in early beta stage, so it doesn't know how to answer about all of the things. For example, the newest gray paper coming out by Gav and the crew is 54 pages, whatnot. It still doesn't know much about that, or about Jam, which is what we should teach it. And we teach it by creating knowledge assets from the content of this paper, and actually enabling anybody to ask questions about it, but having all of the verifiability and actually the right source applicable here. So it's just one example. If you follow all of the coming stuff, or follow Polkadot on Twitter, you'll be able to participate and actually get some neuro for that. So do give it a follow on Twitter and other places.
Yeah, speak for yourself, man. They're gonna have to be fighting me on the mining here. I'll get my shovel out, and yeah, I'll mine a lot of knowledge.
Something like that, like never been done really. Like, it can contribute knowledge. Like it was Facebook. Yeah. There was that saying, like, if you're using it for free, you're the product, right? So we're using Facebook and it's free, and like, but like siphon up so much data they can manipulate elections and whatnot, or maybe not they, but like people using the knowledge base of Facebook. So like the knowledge mining concept is really exciting for that, because it's actually people going to be able to contribute and get rewards based on their contributions. The more we do it, the better, the more improvements we'll introduce to the system, the better it will be, and the better it will be at assessing how to distribute these incentives. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, what was the Turing Award winner Jan LeCun saying that if we want to have the participatory or crowdsourced artificial intelligence solutions, then we need to have the crowdsourced knowledge as well. So this is literally one microcosmos example on an ecosystem of Polkadot that's going to showcase that. And of course, there's other paranets that will be coming up and finding their own particular topics that they'll be going after. But yeah, for sure, the Polkabot's going to be kicking it in a higher gear and yeah, making this a reality real soon. So I'm pumped about this. All right. Did we cover? Did we leave any stone unturned? I'll give you a last round of fire statements, or I don't know how you say that. Pardon me, I'm not a moderator.
You're just a guy. You're just a guy with a microphone.
Just some random guy.
So like, I'll just if you can
this
give
guy
your
podcast.
all right, I'll give you a task. I'll give you a prompt. I'll give you a prompt. So it's you have like please provide me pretend you know about OriginTrail, and then provide me a wrapping up statement in, let's say, 30 seconds or so. You can go around robin on that one.
Now everybody's quiet because nobody wants to jump into other person's words. I'll give it a 30-second shot. I think for me, we talked a lot about now crowdsourcing also knowledge from individuals, but it also doesn't stop there. And then one quote that comes to mind is from Jensen Huang at I believe it was at the Dubai AI conference, where he was talking about also governments, for example, will have to build and have their own variants of AI, and the only way you can build something that you can truly trust, right, and use at that level, especially, is if you can trust the knowledge, right? So you have your knowledge that you can use for training it, you have your knowledge that you can use for utilizing it, and you have knowledge that is verifiable, that you know where it comes from. But it doesn't stop there. You can connect it to other knowledge, you can utilize other knowledge, but you have that flexibility, that freedom of choice to use knowledge, to use different LLMs, to connect. So everything is there. The DRAG mechanism is really a fantastic, I think, facilitator for making this happen, and I'm looking forward to through things like Polkadot and whatnot, to really bringing more and more of this to life. And I guess that'll be my 30 seconds.
Okay, I would use my 30 seconds to return to some of the question I saw regarding massive decentralized infrastructure, which would cost a lot. And I would disagree on this one, because what we mentioned here was running LLMs on your mobile phone, which is not a costly thing. Everyone will have mobile phone with him, and it will be more powerful in the future even. So it will be easier. LLMs will be optimized. And yeah, just think about it. It would be quite easy. You have your own fine-tuned LLM on your mobile phone. You would have part of the decentralized knowledge graph in your phone, and also set up DRAG and everything full in your control. And yeah, is that the blueprint for DKG phone? I don't know, but I would say, yeah, the future of decentralized AI is much more exciting than people think on the first.
Yeah, I think AI is the new UI. It's going to be literally here in front of us. We're chatting with it. We're going to be telling it to do things for us. So and in this world, it's really important what we build it on. So do we make some mistakes from history and we let a couple of big players control this terrain, and in fact us as humanity, and that those big players can also be big AIs? Or do we take back the power and freedom to build things and own this in a decentralized way? I think this is the way to go. This is a deep belief that humanity should have the freedom to exercise, and generate all of this value, not in the sense of just capitalist sense, but rather more in the sense of really having an abundance, and managing resources better on the planet. And we've never had technology like this before. We never had the capability to manage and find answers to extremely complex questions than like we have now. So it's really important we build it together in a decentralized way. It's open and verifiable. And yeah, one additional thought to that is that I think it's just there's no way of stopping it. So people will be building all kinds of different things. So we, in a way, we have a responsibility to build something that is going to secure a positive future for humanity here. And even though we're talking about one such application today, the concepts that we talked about in this paper really go into the future and try to explain what kind of idea, at least, we can work towards enabling such a decentralized world of technology, running it on phones today, but in the future probably chips in our head. So when I have a chip in my head in the future, maybe I would really like it to run on something like smart contracts, something I can audit and something I can actually have verifiable inputs for, rather than who knows what type of obscure code executing somewhere in some obscure server that I don't have any control over. So yeah, I leave you with that. I think the future is bright, and but we have to build it. So come and help us build this together. Polkadot is just one way to participate. There's other ways as well. And I would like to use the opportunity to invite everybody to join our community, join us in Discord, Telegram, start chatting with the crew. We have a very friendly community. Shout out to everybody. And yeah, let's keep talking and let's keep building together.
Awesome. That was more than 30 seconds, Branimir.
No, it was 15.
I mean, I'm not pointing fingers, but there you have it. There's an unprecedented amount of value getting created by AI for crypto and by crypto for AI. Check out the materials that were shared. Like Branimir said, join us in the community and keep close tabs on Polkadot. This is honestly not the time to stay on the sidelines. So get involved and yeah, make sure you're a part of this revolution in the way that we all want to see it play out. Thanks for tuning in today, and yeah, stay on track. Take care. Bye-bye.
Stay on track, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.